Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. Happy Mother's Day out there, everybody. Hope you guys took care of business today when it came to the moms out there and all the moms who tune in. Thank you for all that you do, and enjoy your day today. So, last piece of Heat news that has come out is not a surprising report. There was a great breakdown in the Miami Herald about the contract situations, the situations of everybody out there. And the interesting one that got a lot of headlines all over the place was Bam Adebayo, because it was written in the Herald that the expectation is that he's going to receive the word they used was lucrative extension from the organization this offseason, which is not a surprise. If you heard Pat Riley, everybody kind of got the wrath of Pat Riley at his State of the Heat press conference, except for Bam.
Bam is now going into his 7th year next year already. My God, time flies. And his growth spurt from his rookie year to what he is right now has been off the chart. Everybody knows in the league what his game is. They all know what he does for us, how important he is for us in a lot of areas. And so he has to expand also his game. I remember in 1986, after we got beat by Houston, Magic came into me and he said, we have to change some things. I have to change. I have to start shooting threes. Back when threes weren't being shot more than 10 a game, he said, I got to become a better outside shooter in all of this. And I said, no, we need to get the ball to Byron Scott and to James Worthy as our first two options ahead of Kareem, because Kareem was like, 38 or at that time. And so he said, no, I got to become a scorer. So we put him in pick and rolls and all that stuff. And he actually at that time in 86, he's already 6-7 years in, won 3 championships. He made the changes to become a greater shooter, a better post-up player. The baby skyhook all of a sudden was what came into it. And so Bam has to look at his game and sit with coach. How can he get better and expand his game? But he's at a point right now where he's an all-NBA player. And we're happy to have him.
And I think the number one reason for that is availability. Bam Adebayo rarely hurt for this organization, and the one time that he did was a fluke thumb injury / surgery that he had in the year that they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals Game 7. Bam that season played 56 games, and but there's been times where he's hitting 70, 75, 71. The guy is as durable as they come. I can't think of playoff games that he's missed. They don't really come to mind. This season, he was named the Heat captain, and he has really been molded as the keeper of Heat culture basically since he was 19 years old. And you had Alonzo Mourning, telling us on a boat that one day they're going to raise his jersey to the rafters. And, the prophet Alonzo, he seemed to nail that one.
What do you see from him, though, from the day-to-day?
Obviously, phenomenal talent. He came into the league at 19 years old, so sky's the limit for his potential of being, the best player on this team one day, which I feel that he will be, really, simply because of his work ethic.
What are you seeing during the game? So, you're always there. Everybody sees you on the phone at the game. What do you
listen? I judge a person by their work ethic. He already has the skill, but his work ethic is off the charts. So I know that he's going to be the best player on our team, the best player in our organization. He will lead our franchise one day to the promised land. I don't want to put any pressure on him at all, but I know just based on how he works, how hard he works, and his God-given abilities, that he will. We're gonna raise his jersey in the Raptors one day, and I tell you, he's going to lead this franchise.
So the thing with Bam that is an interesting dynamic, there's a couple of things that are going into this season that the Heat do have to figure out, right? There is an element to, you watch this last playoff series and you basically felt like he was a man alone, that they were, trying everything. They could not take him off the court. The metrics with him off the court in a lopsided Boston Celtics series got even more ridiculous if Bam Adebayo put his cheeks on the bench. So now they're in a situation going into this year where it appears there's going to be no question. Whatever the extension number is that he's going to get, it is likely going to be the max, whether that means it gets boosted by All-NBA or not. They're going to give him every dime that they could give him, one would think. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of hesitation on that. Why would there be? Again, he is available all the time. You were talking about a guy who, yes, saw, I guess, his points per game dip slightly this year. But has definitely tried to add the element of the three-point shot. I would think that's going to be something that even more volume-wise that they would like to, see go up a little bit more and see, because that can, maybe fit some things. And so we could see a Bam who's a little bit more comfortable. It was an interesting thing with him because he did tinker with this thing out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden he was just raining threes at least a couple of games. He was just sprinkling it in. Even hit a game winner against the Detroit Pistons, which was a really cool one. Bam, with a couple of buzzer beaters in his career. The other one was a mid-range against the Brooklyn Nets, and he had said in the exit interviews that he wants to add more of those moments to his repertoire. But the Miami Heat are at an interesting point with their dynamic duo in Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. And part of this does seem like it could add to the drama. Now, I'm not suggesting the Miami Heat not pay Bam Adebayo to even make things smoother with Jimmy, but I do think that if there is any dynamic that could make things even more testy this offseason, it is Bam Adebayo gets his max extension and Jimmy Butler does not, because they have coincided. They have been side by side in this whole thing, and as Pat Riley even admits in his press conference that Jimmy is what does he call him, the needle mover. He moves the needle more than anybody in the organization.
Who moves the needle the most, on our team is Jimmy. Jimmy moves the needle the most. He's an incredible player. And what I said at the beginning about change is he's got to give it some thought himself, for this thing to be what he really wants it to be. And so
as much praise as you do have for Bam, even the president is coming out there and he's telling you, oh yeah, but Jimmy is, he is the alpha, he is the go-to guy. And then maybe there's a part of Bam, I think even naturally, is wondering to himself, well, could I, he mentions those times where I could have those, I want to have those moments more where I get the ball in my hands at the end of games. And there have been performances against the Bucks, against the Celtics, where he has had great closeout performances, ball in his hands, where he is, carving teams up, whether he is bringing the ball up, whether he is being a facilitator, whether he is just going nutso with those, crazy closeout runs where, look, I trust the ball in Bam Adebayo's hands a lot in the clutch. The guy, especially when he just gets one drop, man, the guy could just seemingly get on a crazy, crazy run. So there is an interesting dichotomy Miami is facing here, because they don't seem to have any hesitation with giving Bam because of his age, because of his durability, because of his relationship. Think about Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, Kevin Durant. A lot of these guys are intrigued with coming to the Miami Heat. Nothing against Jimmy Butler. I think they'd all love to be side by side with Jimmy Butler. And one thing that we do know is that people do want to play with Bam. He's a very unselfish guy. He will go balls to the wall. Everybody, I think, would love the idea to play with a guy like that. And man, whoever that piece ends up being, man, you would love to get somebody who can put Bam just in better spots to get him easier baskets as well and feed him the basketball and understand that relationship back and forth for this organization. So I think that he's definitely going to get his money. No surprise there. Deserves it. Probably going to get his first All-NBA defensive first team. I don't know if he's going to make All NBA, which is, I believe, what would boost his number. I don't think all defensive team gets that. I think Depoy does, but I don't think all defensive team is. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that it's just all NBA that boosts Bam Adebayo's contract, not all defensive team, which, is it is a little bit weird that we have to go out here and sit there and wonder what are the things that bump these things. But his contract for next year if he gets all NBA, yeah, he could get $245 million over 4 years. If not, it's a 3-year, $165 million contract. Which, again, I don't think they're going to be hesitant to give him either thing. He's turning 37 in July. I mean, 37. He's turning 27 in July. So you're talking about right into the prime of a guy's career. If it's a 4-year deal, it's taken until he's 31. Even that, he'll probably have one more monster deal before it's all said and done with the Miami Heat, should he keep up this type of performance. But if he gets his money, the one thing that is a bit of drama is if he gets his money, but Jimmy does not, does that add spice at all to this situation? Because let's say the Miami Heat don't trade Jimmy Butler. They're not forced to trade Jimmy Butler, even as much as the PR tour wants to say, oh, he's going to make a stink. And again, just so we're clear, everybody, my stance on this has been give Jimmy his damn year. Give him his year with his monster deal. And let's appease everything and let's go forward and find Jimmy and Bam some help. But let's just say they don't, because it didn't seem like at the tone of the press conference, Pat Riley was that keen on it. So if they don't, giving Bam his money and balking at giving Jimmy his, that has caused issues wherever he's been. We could talk about how's Jimmy going to take this? How's Jimmy going to take that tone? How's he going to take being keep your mouth shut? I think he takes it fine if he gets his extension. If he doesn't, well, then all of a sudden things are in a spot where they can get a little bit frosty, and I think it could cause that even more. That being said, though, I don't know if they're from a basketball standpoint, competitive standpoint, I don't know what much is going to change because, the games played are the games played. As far as like answering questions and community organization and, doing the upfront things for the Heat. I mean, Bam's kind of already the guy that does all that stuff. That's kind of the dynamic of them right now, is that, Bam not only does all the not only is available more, but he's available more. Like, he's just available to the organization more. And, ultimately, does that matter as far as what's going to get your contract? No, it's because he's an awesome player, and he's shown himself to be one of the best defensive players in the league, one of the best two-way players in the league, one of the best players in the league. I think we could just stop qualifying with all that. And he's going to be a building block. There's going to be questions about, hey, do the Miami Heat have to, it was interesting, Udonis Haslem had talked about, adding size to the organization, and this talk of, is Bam a 4? Is Bam going to be moved to power forward? I don't think so, but I do think that to give him a real front court mate, and I don't know if that's going to end up growing into Nikola Jovic, or if they find somebody else, if Nico isn't part of some kind of trade this year or whatever. Yeah, they definitely need to get him some more viable help on the front court, as far as like just not taking a beating all the time, man. As strong as he is and as durable as he is 6'9". He's got to go in there and bang with the likes of Jokic and Embiid. And the other thing is, when I think this is the thing that's toughest for the Miami Heat, when he is one of your best scoring options, but then you have no defensive options against those guys, and then you basically have to make him a one-dimensional player because he has to match with 7-footers and 7'3"ers and all these guys around the league. Like, Rudy Gobert, he don't got to do that. Victor Wembanyama, I guess, but like, he's on a team that sucks, so it's not really the same thing. Evan Mobley, he doesn't really have to do that. He doesn't have to be looked upon as like one of the top scoring options for his team. Herb Jones doesn't have to be looked upon as, so all these guys who are in the voting of best defense, they're not also looked to be giving you the offensive punch. And I do think it takes something away when he's got to say, okay, I got to stick Joker tonight, and now we got to figure out what the offensive dynamic of things are. So it's not something I completely buck against. I think that there is something to giving Bam some more front court help. I don't think this idea we're boxing, he's not a true center. Nah, he can hang with all of the centers in the league. I mean, that's very, very clear. But is that the smartest thing for a guy who's 6'9" and has to do that for the next foreseeable future of his career? Will that run him into the ground, especially when other guys, his other top tier, top paid mates on the team, and Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler have not been as durable as he has? it's a one-way ticket to usually running a guy down. So I do think that whatever the roster construction is for next year, that has to be something that is considered, but it doesn't keep me from, thinking he's going to get and deserve all of that max money.